That's it for me. We begin again. Wendy.
Oh, we begin again. Okay. Uh, okay. Well, this is again um another poem about my husband Jonathan and when he was going through his decline. And it's self-explanatory. I think it's a pretty common experience. Jonathan, lost but to song. Can I reach you anymore? You rarely say a word, but let me strike your favorite score, and suddenly you'll be heard singing with a voice so strong, so sure, so loud, so clear as though your former self, long gone, were truly wholly here. And will you sing when winter's furs rattle the window pane? Still sing when February stirs the maple sap again? If you were to endure the while to meet another spring, I will be here to catch your smile and wait to hear you sing.
Oh,
Song and memory.
yeah, yeah.
And that's true. This is true. Actually, Jonathan, as I said before, he had FTD, what Bruce Willis has, frontal temporal degeneration, which means the his brain cells were actually dying. It's a
Mm,
physical thing. These are physical things, these
yeah.
neurological conditions of the brain. And he took speech therapy for years. I mean, we started before COVID, around 2016. He started taking speech therapy, going to a place for it, and then he kept on Zoom taking speech therapy. And actually, they would often use song as a mnemonic device. Uh,
Mm,
and people would and Jonathan would respond and
That's
sing.
beautiful, Eddie. Yeah.
He would
yeah.
sing old songs, Frere Jacques. He would sing in French actually because he knew French as a child, you know.
Wow.
And
Well,
that's
Wendy was a word too, right? Wendy was a word.
Wendy was a word. Um, that song.
Yeah. It the
It's a beautiful poem.
yeah the well one of the things that I like about it is where it goes in the last two stanzas. That it looks forward, you know, and says,
So good.
I will be here, if you're still singing, and it goes through the stages of winter and then February and then spring, because that's the progression that will happen. But what you don't know is whether he will be singing through that progression. And then what you end with is that you'll be there. So it's more than just a description of loss and a remnant.
Yeah.
You know, it's really it's really about the commitment and the closeness, and that gives it extra power. It's yeah.
It's also, I mean, the seasons are metaphorical, but they're also real because when you face winter, um, especially with someone who's frail, you really don't know if they're going to make it till because it's so much easier to summer, you can take them out. And,
That's right.
when you have to go through a winter, you sort of do have that worry, right? But,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Well, if these are characteristic, the two poems that you've read tonight, of the ones that you wrote during that period, um, they almost should be a book in themselves.
really, you think so?
Well, if you've got the same kind of progression, In
Yeah,
the other examples, I don't know if there is anybody that's done it, but it's your story and you've documented it, and it's a unifying element that is very, very persuasive and strong. You know, uh, and there are a lot of other people, too many, who can empathize, but they probably don't write poems. So you can speak in a way for those people, but you've already done it. So I wonder. I mean, just if you've ever thought of it as a unified entity.
I mean, they are a unified entity. I mean, they're not, I don't have like 50 of them.
Well, do you have 20? Could it be a chapbook?
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
Well, it's something to. I mean, if the others are like these are so strong, you know,
But yeah,
and not just.
I agree with Al, and you've done justice to Jonathan through these poems,
Yeah.
and I don't know whether he knew of it, but we know of it now, and you know of it, and you've done him justice.
Yeah, well, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
Wow. Just
Yeah.
as a, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just thanks. That's it. It is something to think about.
Yeah, give it some thought. Just as an aside, I don't know if you've seen the documentary about Glenn Campbell's final tour, but he had some form of dementia and was not able to basically function right up until he's in the wings to go on stage on these concerts of this tour. He's not there, and then they push him out on stage, and he can do it all. He sings, he remembers all the songs,
Yeah.
plays all of it, comes off stage, gone.
Beautiful. There's a poem in that.
It's a documentary. I mean, there is a poem in it, but it's a very strong documentary, and you actually see it. You see it happening.
Really?
Yeah, it seems to be music seems to be the deepest connection that we have when others have gone.
Yeah.
People can still sing, and in his case, he could still play and
And
do
Al,
these
let me
very sophisticated combinations of playing and singing. I mean, he's a tremendously talented guy.
And also, let me just say, people who have sort of gone over that final end line, they can still dance. Bruce Springsteen has a beautiful anecdote about dancing with his mother, who was
Really?
deep into dementia. And they were on stage and they were dancing together. She couldn't speak, she couldn't do who knows what, but
Right.
she could still move her feet, listen to the music, and dance and sway. And they
Oh,
dance
Wow.
together, and it's so touching. And it's about music and movement,
Yes.
and it transcends dementia. One likes to
Well,
think, and I hope.
well, that's great to hear because those of us that are where that's our language, we know how deep it is within us, and it feels like it's at the core of our identity.
Right.
And this is kind of
And Wendy
a
got that.
demonstration.
Wendy got that. It's a poem, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's why I'm saying, it just they're your poems, so you can do what you like, but don't don't sell the circumstances under which they were generated short. Not everybody is writing in that at those times,
right.
but you were, so you have it to show. You were. I mean, again, you're bearing witness to the whole process, so it's a rare thing. And I think it would be. I think it would be. It would have as personal as it is for you. It would have a value for lots of other people. So Just a thought.
Yeah.
I agree, and I second that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's not give you time to think about it. Let's let's have John be up next, and then later on tonight you can say, what was he talking about?
All right. Well, look. So we've been into the profound, and now I'm going into the less profound, and I apologize for that. But
That's all right.
This is about music, and it is about people traveling around playing music, and
Oh yeah. Okay.
so I'm just gonna, you'll understand. All right, this is called the Partridge Family. I hate the fact that every Friday night I watched the Partridge Family on TV. I fell for it. They traveled in a bus, that family band, and did performances in Caesar's Palace or back in the garage. It was a family show, a lot of cheese. And so the single mother, Shirley Jones, would smile and sing, but never did get laid. It would have been that fellow named Kincaid. He was that iffy dude, their manager, played by David Madden, who was not averse to making guest appearances on Love Boat. Let us speak no more of that. My problem was I actually believed the Partridge Family played their instruments. Do you remember David Cassidy? He looked like he'd eaten Vaseline, but Danny Bonaducci was the worst. And Danny Partridge, the character he played, was a little douchebag with a bass guitar as charming as a lump of soda bread.
Yeah.
He shuffled around in a psychedelic shirt. In later life, the actor got involved with drugs and lived inside a car behind Grauman's Chinese theater for a time. He was arrested once in Phoenix. I'm not making this up. For assault, when he punched out a transvestite prostitute he'd taken for a girl. Now that was bad. For Danny Bonaducci, it was real. For me, the time I wasted Friday nights watching the Partridge Family play the songs they couldn't really play was not ideal. What good did it do me in the end? I even used to know the lyrics. Now, I'd rather drink a beaker full of Fleet and go to get my colonoscopy than be reminded of the matching vests, the tambourine, and Danny's red guitar, and how back then I thought it fit and meet that such as these should sing of happiness.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well.
Well, you may say that it's not profound, but the treatment of language is pretty high level. Pretty high level. I mean, look at these comparisons.
It's hilarious.
A lump of soda, as charming as a lump of soda bread.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he looked like he had eaten Vaseline. I have never seen anybody that's eaten Vaseline, but I feel like I know what it looks like.
We can well imagine what he looked like. No, it's so funny, John. I don't know how you write such funny poems. And like the thing is, we all wasted our time doing the same thing.
You all remember? I mean, come on, let's not play jokes here, okay? We're all the same generation, right? You remember?
No, I'm older. I didn't watch the Partridge Family.
Watching the Partridge Family?
No, I never watched the Partridge Family.
What, you were watching Star Trek?
I was watching Star Trek, yes. I was in college, but I was watching Star Trek.
All right.
I did get a little bit to watch Goulardi. That was a Cleveland thing. I don't know if
Wait, what was that, Wendy?
his name was Goulardi.
Oh, Goulardi.
Cleveland thing. He used to play horror shows on Friday nights, and he would set off small bombs. He
Oh, all right.
would say,
Okay.
cool it with the cool it with the boom booms." He was a beat, he was like beatnik.
Goulardi, he was Italian, huh?
Goulardi.
Goulart, like
Like a ghoul. You can Google him after
All
this.
right.
But besides that, I wasted plenty of time, if not on the Partridge Family, then on some other completely inane, American TV special.
Sure. I mean, might have been the monkeys, you know.
Oh, for example.
Uh,
But
yeah,
but I'm sure, John, I'm sure you were not the only one that bought the act, that thought that they actually played their instruments. And
no, Al, I bought the act. That's what my whole poem of delusion is all about.
but I'm saying you were
I
not
bought the act.
alone.
I thought they were actually doing it, but it
Yeah,
was
I
just
mean,
a Hollywood confabulation.
well, if you were younger than 25, you can be forgiven.
No, I was younger than 15.
Then you're all right.
But it's like you're a seasoned musician, Al, right? When you look back on that, on your childhood, your youth, what do you think of this thing? I mean, it's a complete contrivance, right? I mean,
Yeah, but I was never, again, I was older. So I didn't see it at a time when I could have bought it.
oh,
Right.
good.
It's so it's hard for me to think of a parallel in my time. Um, but
Well,
Let me
maybe
let
not
me
in
let
the
me ask
direct
Wendy,
parallel, but
did you think David Cassidy was handsome?
no, I must say I'm older too. I never got into the Partridge Family, but as I
Oh,
said,
good.
I wasted plenty of time on other crap. I mean,
Like the
yeah,
monkeys and the
other
birds, or
other TV crap. What?
the monkeys?
No, I must say I saw through the monkeys. Pretty. I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
I knew the
We're
monkeys
bottom
were.
feeding right
I
now.
was
Let's
into the
get
Beatles.
out of
I
this
knew the
zone.
monkeys were phony. I mean,
if you're a certain age, you're not going to be taken in by the monkeys,
no,
and I think that's the issue. But people your age, John, at the same state of development, probably
Or
felt the same way about these people. And then
development,
later on in life, when they see a guy like Danny Bonaducci turn into
a
the
scumbag.
yes, the human specimen that he devolved into, you yes.
Right.
But I think it can be forgiven. And anyway, just to get back to the language,
Yeah, sorry.
um, because there are a couple of places, and again, you did this in the previous poem, where you go
right.
from one kind of level of diction to a completely different one, where where you say, uh, well, first of all, let us speak no more of that.
Mhm.
Oh, that is
Let
so
us speak
funny.
no more of that. I
So,
mean, now that's a jump. That's a jump in tone, and we understand that we're dealing with a different character. And then that character returns at the end. How back then I thought it fit and meet that such as these should sing of happiness. I
Well,
mean,
the
that could have
fact
been
on the
written in the
line
19th century.
from the such and meat is a line out of Milton from
Fit
Lost.
and meet. Is it fit and meet or such? I mean, you've got fit and meet.
No,
That's such as these.
I thought it fit and meet
such as
Yes,
these,
with these.
right?
yes,
Yeah.
Just as it is on the page. Um,
yes.
that's right out of Milton from Paradise Lost.
Well, so
Oh,
there you go.
well, there you
Such
go.
I
as
knew there
these,
was a
meaning
different voice at work.
Different
these
tone.
people who are, is this really what it's like? Are these really the people who have the the moral grounding or audacity or function to talk about us? Are they the ones who are fit and meet?
Yeah.
But
Right.
Well, the ironies do abound.
Is it David Cassidy or is it Milton?
Yeah. Well, you pay your ticket and you take your chances.
But anyway, I'm sorry. Let's move on.
All right. Well,
it's a great poem. It's very funny, and I don't know how you do it, but it's hilarious. It really is.
yeah, it's so self-deprecating, but so
Yeah.
it's so finely observed, so finely judged and described. It's
Let me ask an off the radar question here. Did you guys both love or hate Gilligan's Island?
Again, I didn't watch Gilligan's Island. I watched Dobie Gillis.
Oh yeah, Dobie Gillis. That was
Wait, the Brady Bunch? What?
Dobie Gillis. It's before your time, young man.
He was another beatnik.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I didn't watch. There was no Gilligan's Island when I was. See, I went to boarding school at 14, so I didn't watch television after 14. So, because I was in the dorms and there were no televisions, so I missed a lot. But anyway.
Yeah, right. Apparently, you missed a lot.
No, you didn't. You didn't miss anything, man.
Well, now I don't have to berate myself for the things that I liked and shouldn't have. So I feel pretty lucky about that.
But, all right. Well, did you ever see Love Boat?
No, I know what it was, but no, I didn't watch Love Boat.
I did see it, and let's speak no more of that, as John said.
let us speak no more of that.
Let it speak no more. Right. Let's get away from that.
Okay. Well, I can see now that I'm not going to be able to read this poem after you read Batman and Robin, John, because I want to read my long poem last, so that people can bail on the whole thing if they want. But I'll read it now, and both of you have read school-related poems, and so this is coming from my early days in grade school, and you have not seen it, but I will read it.
Right.
It's called Eighth Wonder of the World, and there is an epigraph. Actor Robert Armstrong's phrase describing Kong to the audience before the unveiling scene in King Kong 1933. You may remember that he brings Kong to New York and he's dressed up in a tuxedo, and it's Kong, the eighth wonder of the world, and they pull back the curtains and there's Kong. And then, of course, he rips the chains and goes berserk. But this is not about that exactly. So, that morning in the 4th grade, we had practiced cursive, making nice loops, crossing T's. We understood that knowing how to write was necessary. Everybody did it. Words were written everywhere we looked. But walking home for lunch, I was exposed to lessons teachers didn't talk about, and power they would never let us see. Norman Roy, a kid I hardly knew, walked with me the whole way to the corner, telling me an endless dirty story, the first I'd ever heard. All I remember, besides the rawness of near-naked blondes lolling off the backs of motorcycles, their flimsy dresses shredding in the wind, is Norman's face while he recited secrets, eyes slitted but still lit with knowing glee, pride in his voice, like that of Robert Armstrong, natty in his tailored monkey suit, describing calm before the curtain parts. So, sex reared its ugly head.
That's powerful, Al. That's very powerful.
And I've changed the name of the actual guy.
Well, I hope so.
Although, unfortunately, Norman Roy was another guy, also an actual guy. who didn't tell me that story. So I guess I've kind of done him a disservice. But I protected the actual malefactors, so I feel good about that.
Is that a new poem or an older poem?
Yeah, it's not in any of my books. It's more recent. It's within the last 6 months.
Wow, so it's new. It's good.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's in my most recent book. Let me just make a quick check. It's uh and unfortunately nobody. Yeah, it's in Into the Dance, which is my. There it is.
There it is.
Okay, Into the Day.
End of the Dance. But anyway, so I remember that story. I didn't really understand it, but I knew from the way he was telling it that this was momentous. For whatever that's worth. So
That's good now.
that was me in the fourth grade. And then it's been all, a succession of unveilings since then. And if only we could put some of the veils back.
Wait, you said put some of the veils back? Yeah, I'd vote for that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think we can, but it would be nice.
No, no.
We've all seen and heard too much.
Al, dude, that should be the title of your next poem. Wait, we have
What?
all seen and heard too much.
Yeah, well,
That's the title or the theme of a poem right there, man.
yeah, it is a theme. But it's hard to defend when we've heard too much, telling them more.
Yeah, I know.
But that's showbiz. Anyway, that's my penultimate offering. Let's go for the final round here.
We're on the final round. Okay, last poem.
Yes.
So therefore, I'm going to inflict my long one. It's not that long. I timed it, but it's the longest.
We're here for the duration, Wendy. Fear not.
Yeah. We'll persevere. And it's called Drahiv, which is a place. It's a town. Drahiv. I grew up thinking that I'd learned the worst about my family. It lay behind the number tattooed on my cousin's arm, so shocking in her sleeveless summer dress, exposed in Ohio's August steaminess. I couldn't look at it without alarm at that horrific branding of humankind like cattle. No, worse, like inanimate inventory. I can't remember when I knew it first, but I slowly pieced the basics of her story. In recurrent nightmares, I was on the run, escaping Nazis, hiding, or in flight. When a cousin came to town, I heard the story of his escape. My mother's cousin, Maury, came home from school and found his family gone and never seen again. Left alone, a teenage boy, he made his way to Rome from northern Romania. Another time, my mother told me about her cousin Rose. Sent to Auschwitz as a child, she begged to stay with her big sisters when they went one way and her parents the other. She didn't know it was the last time she would see her parents alive. They had been 4 sisters, and 3 of them survived. But what of all the rest, the ones who were simply lost with nobody knowing where they went? I knew something of our family's situation. My mother's mother got her sisters out. They were Czech, and they were rather proud of it, for Prague was a center of civilization. In Hust, their family had owned the Corona Hotel. But my mother's father only brought over his brother. The sisters stayed behind. Their father and mother believed the girls would lose their piety. Such were the fears modernity instilled. So in Europe they stayed, and in Europe they all were killed. Of my father's side, his parents managed to flee. That's all I know. From Marmaros province in Hungary. But when my father died, we went through his desk and found a letter tucked inside a drawer bearing a name we'd never heard before, from a rabbi in Jersey, a Hasid, no less. Quote, "Your father was my uncle," he wrote Dad. "He was born, his immigration records state, in a town near Hust, then in Hungary, called Drahiv. For 20-some-odd years between the wars, the area was Czech, but when Prague fell to Hitler, the Hungarians took it back and passed a group of anti-Jewish laws, the worst requiring alien registration." Unquote. Who knew that a piece of paper would come to mean one lives or one dies, and nothing in between? Throughout Jahiv, the Jews were rounded up. Some hid, some fled. The rest of them were deported by train at first, then marched by a circuitous route till they met with the Germans over the Polish border. The captives were led at last to a ravine and forced to strip, and caught up in machine gun crossfire. This at Kamenets Podolsk. It was the first 5-figure massacre of the final solution. 23,000 murdered in 4 days. Playing dead, a handful managed to save themselves by clawing out of the war mass grave. For days, witnesses say, the earth kept moving, the movement of the buried, but still living. That was in August of 1941. Dreams of escape and hiding on the run haunted my childhood. Nightly, I met my fate at Auschwitz, struggling not to asphyxiate, or shot on the final march and left to die alone, a nameless corpse beside the road, for so the few survivors have reported. I realize my point of view's distorted by these images, and whatever they may forebode. But I've had to reconstruct my nightmares now to trace a sequence possibly more dire, and I drift off to such sleep as will allow for the rattle of incessant machine gun fire. In 41, my father had reached manhood, but still lived at home above his parents' store in Cleveland's old Hungarian neighborhood. He was studying at reserve, a sophomore. In 41, my mother turned 19 and toured New York, caught Garland live on stage. Mom sported a raccoon coat. It was all the rage. Then dental school exempted him from the draft. They shared a distant cousin by marriage between them who fixed them up. They were ready. He made her laugh. And she was a 40s glamour girl, raven hair, a white gardenia tucked behind one ear, the plunging neck of her shimmering negligee, high heels, even her slippers of gold lame. My sister's girlfriend took a trip last year to Hust for her vacation, hired a guide and driver. She's another Maramorsher descendant tracking down a past that died. She must, I told my sister, have lost her mind. I don't know what the hell she expected to find. She found, said my sister, our past obliterated, the Jewish cemetery desecrated. But she showed her guide a copy of Mom's photograph of the old Hotel Corona. Now, here's a laugh. It wasn't in Hust at all, but a smaller town, somewhere in Hust Township, someplace around 20 miles northeast of Hust instead. Drahiv? I asked. Yeah, that's what he said.
Mm.
Oh, will history repeat itself?
Oh, please, no.
Well,
So do you have more Or is this everything you know?
Oh, what do you mean?
With respect to this story, to the family,
Eh,
to the fates of the extended family and all the relatives. And
Oh, well, yeah, no, I mean, I guess I probably do know more. Yeah, I mean,
so the reason I ask is, how did you know what to put in if there's something that you left out? And how did you know when you were done?
hmm, that's a good question. Um,
Because it has the feeling of an accounting of everything. I will tell you everything.
well, I mean, no, it's not everything. I mean, I have a lot of relatives, but but it's what's most pertinent, I guess, focused on this Rahiv and Hust and the letter. I guess the impetus was finding the letter.
Yeah,
When we found I mean, I had heard these stories, blah, blah. This is all unfortunately true.
right.
But I didn't know, we, um, I guess finding the letter was the real impetus to finding out, this story about what had happened in Drahiv. I went on websites. There are websites like
Hmm.
in the Israelis have websites. I think what track down your relatives, blah blah blah. They have a lot of information that they've a lot of research that they've done and a lot of information online. So after we found the letter, um, which was kind of um, surprising, and found out on the map that Drahib is right next to us, this place that we'd heard about where the Hotel Corona was and so on, and sort of started just piecing that part of the story together. I guess that was you know that was when I wrote the poem and what I wanted to focus on. And then
Wendy,
my
I'm
sister
sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say my sister's girlfriend really did take this trip,
Really?
which I
Wow.
found a lot of people do. A lot of people go. A lot of Jewish people go back to try to figure out what happened and where their relatives were, whether what the story was. And she did. Of course, I thought she was nuts, as I said. But
So, Wendy, I just want to ask you a question. I mean, as I said before, we know, and I know you're a lawyer, you're a poet, which means you are totally entrenched in language. Um, and so, what do you think about the correlation between language and form versus um, the poetics of cultural witness?
language and form. What do I think about that?
Because a lot of people don't think they have any kind of coherence together at all.
Any kind of what?
They're not neighborly.
So they would always use free verse,
Well,
as I did
I
in
mean,
the
some
Adult
people
text.
just want to do cultural witness, okay, regardless of any kind of poetic
Uh,
constraints, okay. But some people want to do um, cultural witness within the brutal and beautiful confines of form. And I'm just wondering what your your thoughts might be about that.
Well, I mean,
Because you could have written it as in prose, for example, right? Is that
okay,
what you mean, John?
yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I just want to see how form comes together with cultural, you know, witness of bad things happening in the world.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, so
I
this,
mean, can form help that,
so
or
this,
does form hinder that? I
uh,
that's my question, I guess, in a very stupid way.
um, so I mean, this is iambic pentameter. This is blank verse, right? And rhymed, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, which,
Couplets, a lot of couplets.
yeah. The other poem that I read earlier, Leah Deutsch, is free verse, and it's not rhymed at all. Um, why did this come out this way? I guess that's pretty. I mean, a lot of narrative poetry is blank verse, right? A lot of stories are told in
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a story. It's a story. And it's a narrative, sort of, right? Wouldn't you say? So I don't think it's that unusual, really, that it's blank verse, and or that it's is it unusual that it's rhymed?
No, the fact is, it's beautiful that it is that way. Um, the point is, you know, can that redeem what you're talking about? Can that
Oh, that's an
theory
interesting question.
redeem
Oh, I don't
what
think
the
so.
sadness
I don't think
is that
anything
you're
can
talking
redeem.
about?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think anything can redeem, the earth keeps moving for days. And by the way, it's
But
not
why we continue to reach for that. We continue to reach for rhyme and for meter and for reason. And that has to mean something, right, Al? I mean, it has to be a step forward somehow.
Well,
On all the sad news and the badness.
I mean, my take on it is that Wendy used a form. She's telling a story, and she used a form in which she's very experienced. So I'm not sure that it occurred to her to question whether the form could in any way rehabilitate the content. I think it was just what came naturally to her. Is that fair to say?
That's a very nice way of saying it, Al.
uh I mean, yeah, that's true. Yes, that's maybe true. Maybe this is kind of what I do. I mean, I've written prose, but that's a whole different um that's a whole different
Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel like I definitely have a feeling that, because I always write in meter, I don't always rhyme, but I'm always in meter.
yeah.
I feel like whatever it is that I'm writing about, there's a certain measure of the form itself that ennobles or legitimizes the fact that I'm talking about it. In other words, it
That's
doesn't
beautifully
approve.
said, Al. That's beautifully said.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I approve of the story I'm telling, but it's like I'm not just writing it in prose. I'm I'm making it subordinate to something, and that this is a big question for me because, as you may or may not know, um, I write audio drama, and I've done an audio play, each one about an hour in length, every year for the last 7 years, and all of them are in blank verse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and but almost all of them are in contemporary language. And
Mhm.
so most people that hear them don't realize that they're in meter.
Right.
But to me, I'm in my mind, I'm raising the level above just writing dialogue. I'm
Yes,
making it do this extra thing, but I don't call attention to it. And so most people miss it. Even the actors miss it. When we did the first show in 2019, I didn't tell them that the play was written in verse, and we recorded it. We rehearsed and then we recorded it. And when we were done with the recording, I said to the actors, "So anyway, you realize that play was in meter?" They said, "What?" I said, "Well, yeah, look at it." And they said, "Oh, I thought it was funny that the lines were all the same length."
no, that's true.
They never even noticed it. And then they said, "Well, why didn't you tell us?" And I said, "Because we only had 4 rehearsals. And if I told you, you wouldn't have spoken naturally. You would have been thinking about how to manage the meter. So
Yeah,
instead, I just wrote it so that you could speak naturally and the meter would be there without your putting it there. And so that's the way we've done it ever since. And it works out, but there's a real question for me whether there is a kind of a heightening or any kind of ennobling of the material because you're going, subjecting it to this extra set of conditions. And I don't know that, I mean, I work so hard to make it seem like there's no difference that I don't know if I succeeded and there is no difference.
right. I think
Well, I mean, isn't that the same thing as a song, right? A rock song, a jazz song, whatever. It lifts us up above the hard scrabble bullshit and dog shit of reality
Well,
into a
hopefully.
better place because it's so well done and
Yeah,
it's
but the
so well
music
made
does a lot of that
and
work.
so well performed.
Yeah.
well,
Well,
at least, at least let's say it takes you out of the everyday. So you're
yeah.
now different, you're now,
And you are out of the everyday, but you're
right.
not aware of it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so the question is whether it's, I mean, I have a play where that involves a literary hoax about a supposedly lost Shakespeare play. And I have a scene in the middle of my contemporary blank verse of 1590s Shakespeare. And so we do the scene. And I'm having a conversation with the woman, and we read the scene, and then we go back to having our conversation. And the Shakespeare stuff sounds 400 years old, and the regular conversation sounds contemporary, but they're all in exactly the same meter. So I don't know the answer to the question, but anyway, it's a pertinent question for me. I didn't mean to take us so far away from this, which
No.
is a completely different kind of thing that you've done. But the other reason I asked whether you knew more is that I have a long narrative poem about my grandparents and how they came to America.
Mhm.
And I put everything that I knew from them or my mother or Ellis Island Records or everything that I could find is in this. And I had to make up a lot because I just had anecdotes, you know, family stories. And then I had to try to make a narrative up out of it. You had an awful lot more to work with when you did this. But you see where I'm going with this. It was like I've tried to create some kind of unified narrative out of these fragments that mean a lot to me just because they were my family. It might not have any meaning for anybody else, but um, this, of course, has a meaning for lots of other people because of the nature of the subject. But it was still the same exercise you were engaged in.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, didn't mean to digress quite so far, but
That's uh that's important. I think it's an interesting questions about prose versus
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the cliche is, well, you're imposing order. You know, you're imposing a kind of order on the information that you're expressing. and then that by nature we feel a kind of satisfaction, especially if we're writing about difficult things that could run away with us emotionally. You know what I'm saying? We're keeping a lid on technically. It's just a thought, but anyway, this is an amazing testimony, and so I was just curious, kind of how you were able to. But it makes sense to me that perhaps if you hadn't found that letter from the rabbi, you might not even have written it.
Right. Yeah.
It's extraordinary. Well, I'm glad you read it. I mean, we could talk about it for an hour, which we don't have an hour to do it. But wow, I mean, thanks. John, you do yours and I'll do mine so that we can put a bow on this.
Okay, Al, thank you. I will. I'm going to do my poem on Batman and Robin. Is that okay?
Yeah, please. Okay. Please do. I mean, I'm not going to be able to follow it the way I wanted to, but I don't care. I want to hear you read it and have a chance to talk.
The thing I want to say is that Wendy has written a profound and beautifully and a beautiful and painful poem. Wendy, thank you for that. And I can't match that. Okay, I can't follow up to that. All I'm going to do is do what American culture does, which is just go to the cheap side.
Well, right. Don't sell yourself short. It's all legitimate. You do your thing.
To the cheap, superficial, media.
No, you're not. No.
And this is a poem about Batman and Robin. And, if you're there with me, with the Partridge Family, I'm sure you'll be here with me for Batman and Robin, okay? But again, yes. I want to apologize because of the radical dissent it takes from what you just read, okay?
I'll comment after you read, but I thought it was, I'll comment after you read.
Batman and Robin. Johnny Brodman and I, we had it nailed just like it was on TV. Our Batcave was in the basement of my home. We cycled up and down the block with capes from the county discount store looking for bad guys to beat up. Then, one Saturday morning, we got caught. Well, what fun was it to be Batman and Robin? What was the point if you didn't have enemies and never got captured? It was Johnny's older brother, Dirk, and Mindy, older too, from across the street. We were in the suburbs. They physically got us, pulled us off our back bikes. The bikes lay abandoned by the curb. They took us, Batman and Robin, into the basement of Mindy's house. There was an egg slicer and a closet. Dirk just stood there. Mindy took the lead. She got a hold of Robin, rough, and muscled him into the closet. We had no idea what was going on. What was happening to Robin? After a minute, Robin came out, none the worse for wear. Then it was Batman's turn.
That's right.
She got me into the closet, pulled down my pants, and started putting on my thing, rubbing it hard against her thigh. Batman didn't know what was going on. It wasn't pleasurable, but it didn't hurt. After a minute, we came out of the closet. Batman was none the worse for wear, only confused. What next? We still had our capes. Dirk said they would torture us, that egg slicer on the tool bench. They'd cut our fingers off. But then, by the grace of God, they let us go. We ran to get our bat bikes by the curb and sped away and never spoke of this again.
Until now.
Until now. It's
Until
all
now.
true. It's all true.
I think it's amazing because it's exactly the kind of thing that happens with kids, and then of course they never speak of it again.
And it's
Yes.
harmless. It's harmless, and no one's traumatized. And it's just
Right.
like, you know, baseball cards and bubble gum.
Yeah.
Well, Wendy, I'm sorry. For me, it seemed harmless and uneventful.
Yeah, interesting.
For other people,
Yeah,
it might be different.
except what's eventful about it is that it's what that's what kids do, you know? I mean, it's
Yeah.
what happens with kids. They
Yeah.
do these jerky things, pun intended. No, just kidding. But they do these stupid things, you know, and whatever, you know, that's
Right.
sort of just part of being a kid.
Right.
But
But
that
I didn't mean this
about.
poem. I didn't mean this poem to be like a cultural moment or some kind of cultural comment on girls and boys or sexual assault. Nothing for that. I was just
it doesn't come across
so much fun.
No, it doesn't come across that way. It just comes across as this is it. This is what happens.
Batman
and you know, you undercut that interpretation, which to me is not a correct interpretation, with a line like, it wasn't pleasurable, but it didn't hurt.
Right.
I mean, so this is not trauma-inducing.
Right.
It was neither pleasurable nor painful, so it was kind of nothing.
Right. It was a nothing burger.
Yeah. So I mean, that's there. The other thing that I'm so glad that you did, and maybe there was another way to tell the story, but this is definitely the way to tell it, is you go into the characters and stay in the characters. It's not like she did this to me. It's like Batman went into the closet. Batman didn't know what was going on. You didn't say I didn't know what was going on. It's like Batman didn't know what was going on. After a minute, Robin came out. It's like that distancing. It's clever. It proclaims its distance from the prurient cliche interpretation. Right. I think if you read this poem,
I never want to be confessionalist poet. I do not ever want to be confessionalist poet. These are just two stories. I'm like a documentary.
Yeah, there you go. This is what happened.
So it's out of the first person.
Right.
When you get
does it switch out of the first person early on? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Then it was Batman's turn.
Right.
It was like, where are you? You know, this is all happening to Batman. Maybe that's partly why it's not traumatic. You know, you stay in character. And of course, all kinds of tortures are visited upon Batman.
It goes back and
Al, it was not torture. It was not torture.
Back and forth. It kind of goes.
It's very harmless.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems harmless, but it goes back and forth. Actually, you do slip into the first person again there for a bit, but yeah.
He has it at the beginning with the names, Johnny Broadman and I.
Yeah, and then she got me into the closet. But yeah, no, it seems that I got that picture. This is like dumb kids.
Yeah.
Wendy, that's it. I mean, I don't want this to seem like a poem about sexual assault.
Not at all. No.
With flame or and pointing fingers, it's nothing there. It's
I think it announces
Saturday morning.
It doesn't.
It announces that it's not that. I mean, that I think is one of the real virtues of it, is that it doesn't go to the obvious places. Well, it keeps in its lane. It is what it is. It doesn't, lead us away into the darkness. It's just boom.
It's Batman and Robin.
Right. It's dumb.
Yeah. It's a great concept.
It's a cartoon.
I mean, it's really a great concept because you could have told the whole thing just in the first person, and you didn't have to be wearing capes. You didn't have to be playing characters. This could have happened to you if you were just on your bikes, you know.
Right.
But you don't do that. You add this whole layer,
Right.
this whole make-believe layer that makes it all. I mean, we understand intuitively that nothing really bad is going to happen to Batman and Robin. Because, I mean, they got to be back next week. They got to come back next week.
Fun, right.
Yeah, so
they're in his brother's basement. I mean, yeah, no. It's
I just think it's a look. It's a really refreshing look into childhood, just like you're saying, Wendy, that it's not one that I've seen before.
No, me
so
neither.
it's fresh,
Yeah.
you know. So I don't know. Have you read this in public, or do you get people that misunderstand it, or did anybody give you a hard time about it, or?
Yeah, I think I've read it before, Al. Yeah, I don't think anybody's given me a hard time about it. They just sort of take it as it is. You know, they see I'm an old guy, I'm writing about being Batman and Robin, and they say, oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Well, good. That's kind of what you hope for.
Let the poor guy go out the exit door in peace.
But hey, I mean, that's the way you want it to be taken.
I mean, if that's the best I can get, you know, I take what I can get. I'm happy for it.
I love it.
But this is from one of your books, right?
Yeah, Wendy, that was at play.
Right.
At the book in the book at play.
Right.
Wow.
It's just all about being at play. That's what we do, right? We're at play. Whether you're doing music or you're doing poetry, drama, we're playing.
Well, hopefully the work is play. I mean, that's where you want to be.
Right.
So then you're never really working. You can fool yourself. Yeah.
But there's affordability, income and revenue and stuff like that.
Often. Yeah.
But that's another conversation later.
But I mean, the whole time I was teaching for 25 years. I was playing a part, the part of Mr. Basil, and it was play all day long. I was inhabiting this character, in most ways me, but in some ways not me, and it was a performance. And as I often say, because I love audiences, but most audiences assemble for one moment and then they break up and you never see them again in that form. But if you're a teacher, you get the same audience like 165 times a year.
And you're lucky.
You can really do something with that. So anyway, I don't want this to go too long because I know I've got this. This is a long story to lay on you, but it moves pretty quickly if you're sensitive to
long one. Okay, great.
If you're sensitive to shame, it will move quickly.
Oh, wait, can you just give us like 20 seconds?
You want me to pause?
20
For
seconds.
20 seconds?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to bring up the rear here. We've gone in so many different directions with these poems, although they're all memorable and powerful. This one is a personal recollection of an important event in my musical life. It's called How I Learned How Much I Didn't Know. When Jerry Wiggins called my name, I walked up to the stage, my cornet in my hand. The space was a familiar one. I'd stood there many times and played the blues for pay. This time, I was a guest. The rhythm section men were jazz sophisticates, all older veterans, who played most of their lives starting in the 30s. All their names appeared on records I'd collected. Now, I was a young guy trying to crack their ranks. I took my place crowded in front of drums, piano, and a stand-up bass. The stage was 3 feet high. People at tiny tables pushed right up to it. Looking down, I could have reached the patrons with my foot. There was no room to step wrong on that narrow margin. I'd known the protocol, the tone to use, the proper words in asking to sit in. No one had yet refused me when approached. I'd name a song, a key, snap out a tempo. My name announced, I'd be called up midway into a set. We'd play my chosen tune and then perhaps another. I'd be thanked again by name and go back to my seat. The band would finish out the set. It would be clear I wasn't one of them, but if I played well, people thought it possible. I was a pro and seasoned playing blues, but playing standards felt more difficult. The chord progressions were so unexpected and felt foreign. I could improvise over the changes in the blues with ease, but I was just beginning to get used to playing on some standards. It took time for me to think of what to play, more time than I was given playing live. The drums, bass, and piano surged ahead. They had no time to wait for laggards. So I'd chosen carefully for my request, a standard, but one whose changes I could handle at the tempo we'd be playing. On this song, I'd sound like I belonged there on the stage. I should have known what I was in for right away when Wiggins counted off the tune at twice my tempo in a different key. After the introduction, I saw why. It was a different song, and one I'd never heard before. I looked out at the crowd, 200 people looking up at me. The horn was in my hands. I had to play. My grandfather's Victrola used to play his prized Caruso records at the rate of 78 RPM. I'd heard Ted Williams's eyes were sharp enough for him to read the label as the record spun. I tried it as a kid. I'd see a word and then a stretch of blur, half a word, more blur, but nothing staying long enough to make sense of it. This was much the same, except I had to try reading out loud. My playing missed all over. By the time I found my way to where the song had been, it would be gone again to somewhere else. And even though I heard the chords repeat, I needed time to grasp the form. But time went rushing on and drowned me in its wake. When my solo choruses were done, halting and incoherent in a way I'd never played before, I had to stand, trapped as the veterans all soloed too. Fleet fingers in relaxed assurance at my back, the audience in front of me, a puzzled smudge, all at a loss to tell why that pretender with the useless prop thought he belonged up there with real musicians. 3 hours later, when the song was done, or so it seemed to me, there was applause out front and narrowed eyes and dubious expressions. In my face, I felt a rush of shame, a pressure spreading underneath my eyes and down my cheeks. I didn't turn to Jerry Wiggins. Rather, he leaned out and toward me from the keyboard, and his words were clear and quiet. Now we'll do your tune. This time, it went as I had planned. When I finished with my solo, people looked relieved. The cornet player, yes, they thought, he's fixed the problem that he had before, and he's not bad. Applause was comfortable. None of the players said a thing to me about it one way or the other when I thanked them, but they smiled and wished me luck. They had made their point. The rest was up to me. I drove home thinking, that won't ever happen again. I'll never feel so lost or fail so utterly. I had to make a choice, to give up playing or to learn enough so I could play in any situation. That 30-year-old memory is fresh. The three men in that rhythm section are long dead. Old prose passed into the unknown. I try each day to learn their lesson better. Preparing for the known is limited and may be mastered. The unlimited unknown requires a different approach. You work to find the still point in the mind beyond effort and thought, and to relax there, letting what you hear make you respond. Getting ready is not being ready. That's part of what I didn't understand. I'm readier for anything today. I'll be a little readier tomorrow. I have respect now for my ignorance and push its boundaries like those old men. I'm in their debt. The job is never done.
Yeah, that's really great, Al. And
Wow.
Memorable, but not pleasant.
but
Now let me ask. Can I ask you like this
but,
is a
but
very
still,
like basic question, okay? When you get up on the stage and you're on the stage in a room full of people and you got a microphone in front of you and you either have a guitar or a horn or you just have your voice and your poems, right? How do you
Yep.
attack the room?
what? How do you
How,
what?
How do you attack the room? How do you lead in? How do you get
Oh,
into them?
oh.
Whether
um,
it's with a musical instrument or with a poem.
well, I look at them. The first thing you have to do is look at them. A lot of people don't want to look at the audience. I see that with poets reading. I mean,
That's so
any
beautiful.
performer.
That is so beautiful. I second that. And you should we should put that on Facebook, okay?
Yeah, it's like as soon as you look at them, they know that you're there to be seen. If you don't look at them, they'll say, "Well, why is he there?
Right.
He doesn't want to be seen."
Right.
So don't step on stage if you don't want to be seen.
So
But
it's just about connection, right? But
yeah,
connection through music or connection through like verbal authenticity
well, it's
or both.
you've
Everything.
got something that you're there to do, and so that's what you hold on to. And it's different in different pursuits. So, for example, if I'm in a poetry reading, I look at the audience, and then I look at the page, and then I look back at the audience, and I look at the page, and I always start a line that I know how to finish before I look up. And when I look up, I look at a specific person, and then I go back to the page, and then I look up again at a different person. I never just look over their heads or, it's like, no, you're there. I'm there for this person.
Right.
And if I'm singing, I do the same thing. Although it's tricky when you're singing because you don't have anything that you can look at. So if you're looking at an audience while you're singing, if you look at any one person in an audience too long, there's a danger that you'll forget your lyric
Right.
because you got nothing to hang on to.
Right.
If I'm playing, I can't even really look at the audience. I'm kind of because the horn is so close to my face. So I don't really look at them until after I'm stopped playing, and then I look at them. Um, but basically, it's make that connection. Make it clear that you're there to connect with them.
Right.
That you're not afraid of them. You don't want to hide from them. You have something there to bring to them.
Right.
And then you look at individual people. You can't look too long because then it gets weird.
Yeah,
But but I always will
Hey,
make
Wendy,
that
how are you
contact.
doing there? Are you okay?
what?
Are you okay there?
Yeah, I am. Thanks.
Okay.
Well,
Well, go
yeah,
ahead.
I'm gonna pull it together. But anyway, that's kind of the answer to your to your question. That it's um, occupy the space, look at people, make the contact, and keep up the contact.
You
don't
have to know how to be in a room with people, right?
Yeah, you got to return. Well, it's not just
you have to
that.
know how to be in a room with people.
I mean, they're facing you. The other thing is that people in an audience, it depends whether the room is lit, but most people in an audience don't think you can see them.
Right.
They think they're anonymous. They're in the mass. They're in the crowd. But from the stage, you can see people very clearly.
Sure.
And so it grabs them when they realize that you're actually looking at them. They're not invisible.
Right.
It forces them into a position of responsibility.
It galvanizes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can't, they're not.
They're part of the story. They're there.
Yeah. They can't. Exactly.
Hey, they paid for it.
Well, hopefully. Sometimes they did. Sometimes they didn't. But anyway, and I feel the same way about every audience. And so, but the technique is a little different because with poetry, you've got the page and then you look up and then you've got the page and you look up. And I also make sure that I take in the whole room. So I'll look at somebody all the way to the left, all the way to the right, all the way to the back of the room, all the way to the front row. I do the sweep. I'm there. No one eludes my gaze. I want to give them the impression that I see everyone. Puts them in their place.
Okay.
So anyway, that's a great question. I didn't anticipate it, but it's fun to answer that question because it's a very conscious. I mean, it's something I do deliberately, all the time.
And yeah, Al, we all get up in front of a microphone, right? We all get up in front of a mic and we have to talk to a room full of people and we have to say something that is useful.
Well,
or no, beautiful.
Yeah, and yeah, there are
something useful that connects or hurts or penetrates, right? When you can
it isn't that we don't believe in what we've done because we wouldn't have written the things down. But there are poets that don't really want to read. They're not comfortable reading, even though it's their own. It's what they have to bring to the audience. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you put this down, and now here's your chance to bring it to people. So make it into a conscious action and a transaction.
I have to say that Wendy knows how to bring it to people. She has read some of these poems tonight that we've heard, and when I've heard her read them in public several times before and online in the Zoom room, and it doesn't matter where or when. They're so beautiful they bring tears to my eyes, and that's the powerful poet.
Well,
will it be on Zoom? Will it be in a bar room? Will it be somewhere else? I don't know, but all I know is I want to get it where I can get it.
Nice. Well, here we all are. This has been great. It's been great fun. Let's conclude the proceedings. And, I expected this would be enjoyable, and damned if it hasn't been.
Great fun, Al.
Al, thank you so much for hosting us.
And
again, you're bringing a community together that has, I don't know, are we diaspora or what?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I guess we are.
We like post-pandemic poetry conference diaspora?
Well, this is okay for second best, but I still look forward to the days that we can meet in person. There's nothing like being in a room with people.
Well, you better come down and see me and Wendy Sloan and Otto Shrunken Head.
Yeah, then you have to come to Otto's. You have to come to New York. Yeah.
Wendy,
I don't get there.
What's up with Otto Shrunken Head? You're doing that again, right?
We're back at Otto's. Yeah, we're at Otto Shrunken Head Tiki Bar.
You're back there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, let's make that.
You'll put the
let's make that the concluding plug. So, okay, folks that are tuning in, if you want the live version of this stuff, go to Otto's Shrunken Head, which is
Otto.
You know,
I have read there, and it lives up to the name.
well, we should read
Al,
it.
it dives down to the name.
Yes, it does. All right. Well, let's say good night, and
And
perhaps
Wendy's
we'll
the
all
genius
meet.
there.
Yes,
We'll,
I'll host.
we'll meet again.
Just a train wreck.
Okay.
So
All right.
great to be reading with you guys.
Yep. Thank you both. So
Okay.
great.
Thank you, Al.
See you. So long.